Welcome to another episode of the Between Podcast. This is your host, Matt Matson, and I'm joined, uh, as I often am, by our now very regular co host, Reverend Danny Hilliard. Danny, I'm so glad you're here. This is episode one of a series that we're doing, like a limited series. I've been watching a lot of limited series on like Netflix or whatever. And so maybe I'm inspired by that idea that we could just like say there's not going to be any more than this many episodes. And we're going to do them quick and we'll keep them tight and we'll just kind of attack this series and find out what happens. And this is a series on big, profound faith questions. The question today, Danny, is what if hope is the heaviest thing we carry? And this episode, I think if I do it right, will come out the first week of Advent. And kind of the theme of the first week of Advent is hope, which sounds really light and playful and fun and bright and bubbly. And our question is, what if hope is the heaviest thing we carry? Danny, is hope ever a heavy thing for you to carry?
Yes, you asked that question as we started this podcast. And I've seen the question for a week preparing for the podcast. But then having to answer it right now, oof, yes, I think it's heavy. There's a part of me that wants to say, no, hope is light. Hope is free and liberating and like a feather, all these things. And the reality of hope is that it's heavy, especially in our human experiences, especially in the world that we live in. Like sometimes you pack your bag for the day, right? You put your laptop, you put your charger, you put a water bottle in. And if you were to physically put hope in that bag, of all the things that comes with hope, I think it'd be the heaviest object you put in your daily carry.
Danny, I'm having the same experience. Maybe it's the world around us that is singing a different song about hope to us right now, and maybe that's what we're hearing. But I'm in this. I think I'm maybe having a new realization, or maybe I have this realization every year around this time. But this realization that hope does. It seems. I love how you said. It seems like it should be like a feather. Like hope is a bright, beautiful light. It's magic. It's hope. Oh, aren't you a hopeful person? Like very, very just easy going. Like hope is easy. No, it's not. See, on the other side of hope, if you flip the coin over, it is incredibly dense. It is the other side of hope has to be that which is not yet, that which we pray for, that which we long for, that which we ache for. Like that's got to be on the other side of hope. Otherwise, hope the top side doesn't matter. Like it doesn't have any meaning. Hope is necessarily incredibly heavy, and that is, I don't know. I feel like it's it's being revealed to me in a new way as we're having this conversation, as we were preparing for this conversation, as I was preparing, an Advent sermon on hope, or a message of the week for our Between community on hope. I just got caught in the weight of it because I think I expected it to be easy. I expected hope to be like, oh yeah, sure. Like there's no more obvious question. Yeah, no more obvious faith question than, well, hope. Right? Let's start with hope. That's an easy place to start. Danny, I don't think it is an easy place to start. I think it might be the hardest place to start.
You said something there that really has my wheels turning of the flip side of it, right? Of we have hope, and then what does the flip side look like? And I think, and the listeners with this might resonate, that hope, we don't understand how heavy hope is until we have to turn to it, until we have to use it, until we have to physically put it on and carry it with us. And I'm going to share, I want to share this experience I had this week because it plays into this. I went to a hospital earlier this week. Husband died very unexpectedly. The wife deep mourning, like devastation that I've never experienced as a pastor in my ministry so far, like holding me, just wailing. This is the most faithful woman I know, the most faithful woman of the congregation. She's the first one to offer a meal, first one to offer a prayer request. Like everyone in the church knows this woman for her faith. And watching her have to put on a different kind of hope and physically say the words, I know he's okay, but her body was experiencing something different. I think the reality of what hope really is it's that gritty. It's that moment of tension, and it doesn't always feel like a Hallmark movie. It doesn't feel good. It feels like trying to swallow it and regurgitate it when you don't want to.
There is I was trying to do some research before we started. These are things that I always just want to make sure people know. I don't actually know this stuff. I like Google it right before I say it. That's I just want to make sure people know that.
Thank you, Google and chat.
That's right. But I was looking up the like the word or like in the like the biblical word origin of hope, like what word is used in the Hebrew and then in the Greek, like what is the, and I don't know, this is just what I found real fast, but I thought it connects with what you were just saying. The first word, there's a bunch of different words in Hebrew in particular that are used for hope or about the concept of hope in the Old Testament in particular. The first one that I found was tikva, which is kind of like a cord or a line or a rope. In fact, it's actually used as a way to describe a red cord in a different passage. But this idea of a rope that you throw into the future and you've got to hold on tight to. Mm-hmm. And I thought about the tension of that rope, right? Imagine throwing a rope into the future, holding on for dear life as the future pulls at it and you're stuck in the now. And the tension on that rope, the weight of the rope, the feeling of the rope. Danny, I can't help but connect that to the woman you were just talking about and kind of throwing a line into her understanding of the afterlife, her understanding of what happens next, her understanding of her husband going home and having to be here in the now and holding on to this, to the weight, the pull, the tightness of that rope. That is hope maybe for her right now, or an illustration of it. And we're talking about, sort of hope being heavy. To me, that feeling of like the pull of what could be, but also maybe the pull of what is now, what is real, and what hurts, and the suffering, and the loss and the pain of the now for so many people at so many times in their life. Hope is just the tension between them, between that might someday be, and the real that is right now. And I don't know, that word origin of tikva, that rope concept is that's a really powerful image for me. Maybe that's what hope is. When we wish somebody, when we say, I hope this for you, I hope things get better, I've got hope for you, I'll hold hope for you. What we're saying is we'll grab onto the rope with you. We will try a little bit to lessen the tension, lessen the pull that you feel, lessen the pain of that and the burn in your hands. And we'll try our best to grab onto the rope with you. Does that make any sense at all? Does that picture show up for you?
Yes. And first of all, I'm cracking up because when we started this podcast, I was like, oh, I should have looked in my Greek and Hebrew text and checked what hope meant. So thank you for Googling that. Clearly I do not keep up with my Greek and Hebrew enough to remember, but I love the tikva, like that tension and the rope and the pull. All I can imagine in that is being And this is what hope feels like, I think, sometimes, is being alone on the side of a mountain. You've got a rope tied to a tree, a stump. I don't rock climb, so I don't know this stuff. But you're by yourself is what it feels like. You've got your rope tied up there. You hope it's steady enough. But the weight of gravity and the weight of reality as a human being, that you have to physically pull yourself up. And that image is really resonating with me for what hope feels like when you have to use it. And then also the reality of, it's easier if someone would just give you a push. That sometimes the hope is so heavy that you're like, your knuckles are aching, that you've got blisters and calluses, and you would just, if someone would just pull me, like I just can't pull myself. And maybe that's the reality of individual experiences of hope, what we experience hope to feel like, and the necessity of human connection, and the necessity of the push of just let me just assist you for a moment.
Wow. So the call you hear is not just to hang on tight to your own rope, but to show up behind people and to help them, to steady them, to support them as they're hanging on tight to that rope. I think about, Danny, you said, maybe you got a rope tied to a tree stump or a rock or something up on top of the mountain. Like, what are the people that you talk to on a daily basis, what do you hear that they are tying their ropes to? I think about, the hope for a job, maybe I'm in a season of unemployment, and I'm incredibly hopeful that this job will show up. And I imagine tying my rope to this job that I really hope is going to come through. Right. And at times the rope gets cut. At times the tension is loosened because the hope drains away. The hope falls apart. The hope dissipates. Or maybe a hope for a child. Maybe there's a young couple with a hope for a child, or a hope for a community to heal, or a hope for a community to become something. What do you hear people hoping for right now?
So I'm going to say something that's going to blow up our whole hope conversation, because it's been blowing up my understanding of hope since I heard it. Yeah. I have a therapist that I see often, and she knows I'm a pastor. And I was talking to her, and I kept using that word hope. I hope this would happen. I hope they would apologize. I hope yada, yada, yada. And she one day said, she goes, I know you're a pastor, so you're going to sit with this for a very long time. But she says, hope is a relationship with a non-reality. Hope is having a relationship with a non-reality. And so when you say, what do I hear people hope for? I think people get really confused about what hope truly is, because we do tie our hope as human beings to non-realities, to, I hope I get that job. I hope this would happen, almost like wishes. And that was the way she actually helped me reframe. She says, obviously, hold on to your capital H hope. And when you say something like, I hope they say I'm sorry, you're tying yourself to that relationship of a reality that one day they will apologize. But if you reframe it and say, I wish they would apologize, then you're not tying your hope rope. Oh, that's a fun line. Hope rope.
Oh, that's the title of the episode. Hope rope. Hot new title of this episode. Sorry.
You're not tying your hope rope to something that will fail you.
Man, that's what a profound challenge.
Yes.
Are you sure you want to tie your hope rope to that? Or is this something you wish for? because maybe your wish allows you, um, maybe your wish, if it doesn't come through, doesn't mean you fall off the mountain.
Yes.
I'm exploring this right now in
Yes.
real time, Danny. I don't know if that metaphor makes any
Keep
sense,
going with it though.
but the idea of, what if, is hope, are we invited to consider that hope is so heavy? Hope has such weight, such tension, such consequence, that the hope that we should be thoughtful about what we tie our souls to. That is, I don't know. I'm saying this out loud. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that. But it makes me think about hope differently than maybe I did when we were originally preparing for this. Hope is not light. Hope is not floaty.
Mm-mm.
Hope is not playful and silly and bright and easy. No, like hope is heavy, man. Like hope is,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta realize that if you're saying this is what I hope for, that's the tree at the top of the mountain, and you're hanging off the side, and you
Mm-hmm.
just tied to that. And if that's something that you don't have control over, influence over, you don't have, that is outside of like, then are you sure that's what you want to tie your hope to?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's really powerful. Which also sorry, I'm ranting, but this is me processing out loud. But maybe that's also why, maybe that's also why we're often ushered toward faith and community and the depth and stability of even messy human community,
Mm-hmm.
because community feels rooted. Faith and the depth of our spiritual togetherness uh, is locked in. It's
Mm-hmm.
There's something deeply gravitational about that, something deeply soaked deep into the soil that would allow us something stable to tie onto. I don't know. I don't know if I believe all that I just said, but that's interesting.
That's an interesting. Yeah, this is all just unraveling, because hope looks different on paper than when you're talking about it in real time. Because Matt, how many times, what capacities do you hear people talk about hope?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about people who hope for a job, and so much of that is like completely out of their control, especially
Mm-hmm.
in today's economy, in today's world. And
Yeah.
you put your resume out, and the AI bots all just eat it up and spit it out, and there you are left hoping, and you just got rejected by robots. Like that's a tough thing to tie your rope to. I think
Yeah.
about people who are hoping, politically hoping. They're hoping that their candidate gets elected, and when their candidate gets elected, or when this issue is passed, when the Supreme Court
Mm.
does this, when everything's gonna be better. You got, like, that's gonna be it. I've tied my hope to this successful political campaign. What? Take a wider view. Back up. There's nothing wrong with fighting for what's right, but tying our hope to that feels uh, feels like we will be disappointed every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And no wonder we become disenchanted. No wonder we become disengaged. No wonder we become so divided, because we keep tying our hope rope, to these fleeting things, these fleeting ideas. That feels. I'm connecting, Danny, with this hope versus wish, and
Mm-hmm.
the which one do you reserve for which parts of your life? That is a really, really compelling exploration of this idea that I've really just never explored before.
And here's even a more fun challenge for you and everybody listening to take into the daily lives. every time you find yourself wanting to use that word hope, take a moment and pause and say, is this a hope or is this a wish? And having to decipher all the time am I texting people and saying, oh, I hope you're well. I hope this, I hope. And ever since my therapist blew my hope brain up, I've had to sit and go, I wish you well. I wish you a happy birthday. I wish you a good day. Like all of these things, because the reality is what I found too in the pastoral presence of when I say the word hope, it almost becomes like a certainty for people. When the reality is the opposite of hope is certainty. And so when we lack that ability to have mystery, but when we put it all in, I'm certain of this, that's when the rope's going to fail. When you were giving that image of specifically, political agendas or political positions, I quickly imagined all these people at the bottom of a mountain, right? And there's a political figure at the top, and they're just tossing their ropes, right? Like this is like, I hope. And yet with one tug of that rope, it's going to fall. But most people don't tug. They just let it lay up there. Yeah. But the moment you really do jump up and hope it catches you, it's not going to.
Yeah. Man, there's something, I think I'm having a real-time realization that this Advent season, and you can look at these themes any time of year, of course, but since it is the Advent season, we look at hope, we look at peace, we look at joy, and we look at love. We look at these 4 ideas. And all 4 of these I'm looking at differently today. I'm looking at how heavy each of them are. Hope, peace, joy, love. These are not that we say, that we toss these words around like they're easy confetti, like yay, hope, joy, peace, love. Like there's a high pitched version of these words that we can toss around all day, but there is a deep resonance if you listen to these words. All 4 of these themes, they have incredible weight, because they are maybe rooted in something beyond the everyday human experience. They are vibrating at a resonance that is underneath the words that most of us say every day. They are connected to our hearts and our souls, and these 4 ideas might be the things that connect our souls to each other in really tense, heavy ways. These are the ropes that are connecting all of us. All right, enough theological clouds, like living in the clouds. What does this mean for everyday life, Danny? Like how does this apply to our relationships, to our encounters, to our interactions at the grocery store, to the people that we're talking to next? When we turn off this podcast and we go to our next interaction, how do we hold hope for people? When is it appropriate to say, I hope this for you, or I hope for this for you? Does it make sense to do that? Is it helpful? What does it mean when we do? I really don't know. I'm asking a bunch of vague questions, Danny, hoping that you'll pick one that makes sense of all of it for me.
Yeah, I think especially as we're coming up into the Advent season, we're journeying through Advent. Advent is all about hope. Imagine being there prior to Jesus's birth, all the rumors of who this child is, they were the first carriers, not the first, there's people before, but in Christian tradition, the first true carriers of embodied hope, of what we are hoping for, what we are holding on to. And so through Advent, I think, aside from all the we just talked about between wishes and hopes, I think we really are called to carry the hope, as heavy as it can be, and recognizing that when we share the load of the heaviness of hope, it feels lighter. It's kind of like, this is so silly, but I saw an Instagram reel the other day of like 3 or 4 college students, and they were attempting to do a 3 or 4 person plank. Have you seen this? When they
No.
all kick their legs up together, and then they walk their hands out, and they can all hold each other. It's the coolest thing, and I think someone should attempt it listening to this and just send us a video
Danny,
of the
no,
attempt.
we're gonna get sued. There's gonna be 4 people with broken arms, and they're gonna be like, well, I hope it would work.
Okay. Stick with me with this image though, but they collectively held each other's body weights, and it looked simple. Now, they probably were like gymnasts or CrossFit elite athletes that ended up doing this or something. But when I'm thinking of shared hope, I'm thinking of the reality of doing a plank, right? You're doing a plank, your arms start to wobble. What if you're doing a 4-person plank? You'd think it'd be heavier. And I wonder, I don't know, I've not tried this 4-person plank. I wonder if it actually feels somewhat lighter because you're sharing strength and you're sharing that hope. Well, that was a stretch. I just stretched that far, but
Danny, that
that's
was a
the
fantastic broken metaphor that might have been based on an AI video that tricked you on the internet. I don't know, but that is, what an image for everybody to leave with, a 4-person plank. That maybe it lightens the load, or maybe or you've got to be a world-class athlete to make hope work. Maybe that, I'm not sure what the punchline was, but I loved every second of that journey, Danny. Every second of it.
I tried. All of that to say, I think hope is meant to be shared. I don't think it's meant to be, we have our individual hope, but I think more importantly, we have to have our collective hope in order for it to quote unquote work, if that makes sense.
It does. When you were relating the Jesus story, and I couldn't help but really just think about the weight. So if we take Mary, a teenage girl,
Mm-hmm.
poor, kind of not in a great situation. There's no room at the inn. Is in this weird, trying to explain to her betrothed that I'm carrying God's baby, like that. There's a lot of difficult, heavy stuff
Mm-hmm.
to unpack. But if we just live with this idea that she is carrying the hope of the world, this hope that there would be a savior in a time of oppression, in a time of where the world felt so impossible to break out of for so many people, a time of poverty, and a time of shackles, in a time of no opportunity, in a time of just incredible difficulty for so many people. She's carrying this hope, this incredibly heavy hope for the world. And she doesn't complain about it. In fact, she sings a song about it. And the song, this Mary's Magnificat, is a song about the poor being lifted up and the hungry being fed. It's a song about, yes, this is heavy, but I'm carrying this on behalf of us. We are carrying this together. This is our hope. This is not about me. She sings a song that not only does she not complain about it, but she realizes it's not about her. It is about us. This is not a me question. It's a we question. And this big, heavy, deep, global hope that is represented as a baby in this story is a shared thing, is a we thing. And the only way that hope can be real is if we share the weight of it together. And if she understands that this is not just her burden to bear, it is the world that is the recipient of this gift of heavy hope.
The world is the recipient of this heavy hope. And thinking even of that image of the heaviness, and then also the tenderness, right, of a newborn baby, recognizing that hope is both. Hope is both very heavy, and it's also very, very tender. Because if you talk to people and what they're hoping for, even if, we've said that, don't tie your hope rope to that, it's still that tender spot. It's them longing for a job, longing for a child, longing for connection, longing for healing. And all of that is both heavy and so tender.
Tender is such that word. Every time I'm writing and that word comes out of me, I always pause on it, because it's a word that I don't use very often, and it's a word that is that I just feel like has so much meaning wrapped around it. I can't help but go back to the rope metaphor, the tossing our rope into the future, or tying our rope to the top and holding on tight to it, and thinking about how tender and fragile our hands are as they try to grip that rope tightly, and how just how we can sometimes feel the pain of hope right there in our hands, because it is such a tender thing. It is such a tender thing, Danny.
Back to the encounter earlier this week with that woman, right, who just lost her husband, and her hope is so heavy. And we were in this room in the hospital filled with family members just surrounding, almost like that lifting up, right? That let's hold you in this hope together. And what I've constantly heard since that night is every single person that has reached out to me on behalf of her is, she's going to need us. She's going to need us. Yes. And I'm always like, we always need each other. We always need each other, but especially when our hope is that tender and we finally have to utilize our hope, and we finally have to lift that heavy bag out and use it. How much lighter does it feel when people say, let me help. Let me help. Let me be here for it. Let me do this. We always need each other, because it is so heavy and it is so tender.
I found one of the quickest ways to get into a sacred conversation, a deep conversation, a conversation of intense connection and something that feels divine, is to ask somebody, what are you really hoping for right now? That question is often, the response is like, and it's light at the beginning, and very quickly, I think the word hope unlocks something for people that they don't know they're allowed to talk about in most encounters. And the moment you give somebody permission, to unload a little of that hope, or for them to hand you the rope and say, well, okay, you want to know what I'm hoping for? I'm going to ask you to hold on to this with me for a minute. Just allow me to release some of the tension of it, even just for a moment. Now hold this heavy bag. Okay, you want to know what my hope feels like? Let me put it in your arms for a second. Let me make sure you can feel the weight of it.
Mm.
That is, as we walk into this season, this Advent season, or any other Advent season, whenever you happen to be listening to this episode, that is a time where everybody around us feels the weight of some hope in their life, or the pain of some lost hope in their
Mm.
life. And uh, we feel that weight, we feel that pain a little heavier, a little sharper than at other times of the year. And I would offer that one of the most beautiful things we can do for people at this time of year is to ask that question. Can I hold a little of your hope for you right now? What are
Oh.
you really hoping for right now? And to step into that weight with them for just a little bit. Dana,
Oh.
what are you really hoping for right now? Can I ask you that question? Is that okay? I don't know that I don't know the answer that I would give you right now, but and it's okay if you don't have the right answer on a live podcast. But what are you hoping for right now?
I don't want to gloss over what you just said because it hit my, I got tears in my eyes immediately. You said, how can I hold a little bit of your hope right now?
Yeah.
That sounds like such a simple question, but it's, oh my gosh, it's not, because we feel so isolated at times. We feel like we have to carry this hope on our own, whatever it is we're hoping for, whatever it is we're trying to hold on to. And if you offer something so simple, how can I hold a little bit of your hope right now? That's a great question to ask this Advent season, so that people know that they're not alone in carrying the hope that they received, that they were recipients of. How can I hold a little bit? Okay, I'm taking that with me this Advent season. And I'm curious what people
Yeah.
will say or how
Yeah.
they'll respond to that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I find myself when I'm considering what is the hope that my rope is tied to right now, where have I cast my hope rope, or in one of the directions that I've cast it. I think about my teenage kids right now, and I think about sort of this period of high school for them and their transition into adulthood, and I find probably uh, the the most rope and the tightest rope is currently tied not to their success or their everything being happy all the time for them, but I feel like I'm trying to tie it to their fulfillment or
Mm.
their ability to have hope for themselves, to be brave enough to have hope in things for their life, to be brave enough to cast their rope out into the world, out into the future, out into something that they can imagine, something they can believe in, and tie their rope to that. Like that's,
Mm.
I think, I think my rope is most tightly tied to them right now. Not to not to they're going to fail, they're going to have challenges, they're going to be disappointed, bad things like that. That's not where my rope is tied. My rope is tied to something I can barely name, but it's the closest thing I can say is their fulfillment, or their um, courage to be able to toss their rope out into the future of their lives and connect it to something they believe in.
That's so, the way you wrapped it up at the end, right? There's tossing it to something they believe in. And I think that's what's important. And you're instilling that within your children of, don't toss it at these people who can't offer you anything. Don't toss it in a political agenda. Don't toss it in all these things that will fail you and that you will fail at times, but toss it into something that can hold you. I keep coming back to this whole conversation of hope. My mother-in-law, her favorite verse, I'm so going to butcher it. It's in Romans 15, and it's the, may the God of hope and it goes on to fill you with peace and joy as you trust in God, that you would abound in hope, that you would overflow in hope. Uh, and I love the beginning of that verse because it says, may the God of hope. So it's not the hope of this world. It's not the hope of anything human, but it's may the divine hope, may the ultimate hope be what you tie yourself to, and then you will overflow in hope.
Yeah, Danny, that like this again, this thing that is deeper than any of the surface level stuff that I think so many of us tie ourselves to. And this is not an evangelical rant at all of you. This is not us trying to get you to choose a particular religious path or name. Like, no. This is your understanding of that deeper thing, your understanding of that bigger idea, your understanding of the unseen. Danny, I was looking at my notes earlier in Romans. Paul writes, "For in hope we were saved." Now, hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what is seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. If we hope for what we do not see, Paul's trying to do the same thing I was trying to do earlier. Name something unnameable. He's trying to cast his rope out onto this thing that we colloquially call God, that we try to make sense of with words like God or these old beautiful stories of Jesus and Mary holding the hope of the world. And it's us trying to point at this thing that we can't quite point at because we can't see it, because who hopes for what is seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience, Paul writes. This is inviting us to cast our line out onto something we can believe in. And that's a scary thing because you can't see it. It's easier to cast our line onto the hottest political topic or the coolest thing, the trend out there. It's easy to do that, but those ropes break. Faith is tying our rope to the thing that is not seen, that is barely nameable, that is indescribable. Danny, this has been a fun conversation. This is the first in our series of a limited series on profound faith questions. And this was certainly profound. We came up with a number of different metaphors. I didn't even go into the metaphor of what I planned to, which was I wrote a sermon that went out this week that is about clay. Like I had this whole metaphor of God's hands on the clay and how messy and frustrating it is to work with clay, and hope is about keeping your hands on the clay. But you'll have to go listen to the sermon or read it on our Substack. That is where I thought we'd go, but we ended up with rope. We ended up with a heavy backpack. We ended up with tying a
four-person plank.
A 4-person plank. Oh, that's a good one.
Please don't try this at home, kids.
I am my first search when I get off this recording session is 4-person plank. And I am really not sure what I'm going to find.
Matt, there are 4 people in your family. And I hope
that is our family after dinner.
Family dinner activity tonight is the 4-person plank.
Okay. So if it happens, I will send you a video, and only you. Listeners, do not expect to see a video of my family trying a 4-person plank. And if you attempt a 4-person plank out there safely and without injury or cause for any civil or legal proceedings, send us a picture or a video. Hey, listeners, what are you hoping for right now? What are you hoping for right now? I hope you'll share that with us. I hope you'll share that with someone in your life in a moment of sacred connection, because letting somebody else hold that hope with you, hold the tension of that rope, hold the weight of that hope with you for a little bit can be a beautiful thing. And I really, really hope you'll ask that question to folks. I hope you'll I hope you'll connect with people and grab onto their rope for a little while and lessen some of their weight, some of the tension that they're holding. Danny, thanks for a fun conversation today. The next conversation we have is, I don't know, about one of the other Advent topics, but I hope people will keep tuning into these little conversations, to our podcast. I hope people will keep jumping over to between.church and signing up for email list, signing up for our Sacred Texts ministry, following us on social media. There's a little private Facebook group you can participate in. We got lots of things. Maybe you're out there thinking about starting a small group or like a between chapter, or maybe a little book club where you talk about some of this stuff. If you want to do any of those things, you can always reach out to me on the website. You can find Danny there. This is what we love to do. We love to help. We love to help spread sacred human connection around the world. And I'm really grateful that I get to do this alongside you, Danny.
It's an honor.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful Advent season.